There are days that divide. There are days that divide your life into before and after. For me, it wasn't the day my father died. It was the day the bank called. My name is David Miller. For 22 years, I believed I understood exactly who my father was. I believed he had stopped choosing us long, before death ever took him. That belief became part of who I was. I never visited his grave after the funeral. Whenever someone said I smiled like him, I changed the subject. I thought that chapter of my life was closed forever. 3 weeks ago, on an ordinary Tuesday morning, I was standing in my kitchen waiting for the coffee to finish brewing when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost let it go to voicemail. I'm grateful I didn't. The woman introduced herself as the branch manager at First National Bank. Her voice was calm and professional. Mr. Miller, are you planning to claim your late father's safe deposit box before our downtown branch permanently closes? I actually laughed. There must be some mistake, I said. My father died 22 years ago. She didn't argue. Yes, Mr. Miller, that's exactly why I'm calling. The smile disappeared from my face. She confirmed my father's full name, his birthday, the address where we lived when I was a kid. Every detail matched. Then she quietly read a single sentence from the account history. The annual rental fee for the safe deposit box was paid 8 days ago. I asked her to repeat it. She did, slowly. 8 days ago. For several seconds, I simply stared at the kitchen window while rain slid down the glass. There are only 2 explanations when a dead man's safe deposit box is still being paid for: fraud, or a secret someone worked very hard to protect. I asked who made the payment. She said she couldn't tell me. I asked what was inside the box. She couldn't tell me that either. Then papers rustled on her desk. There is one final instruction left by your father. I held my breath. The box must never be opened unless both of his children are present. I hadn't spoken to my younger sister Sarah in almost 9 years. The last conversation ended with both of us saying things we couldn't take back. Since then, birthdays passed, holidays passed. We became strangers who happened to share the same last name. Yet now, somehow, my father had forced us into the same room one final time. I found Sarah's number after 20 minutes of searching through old contacts. My finger hovered over the call button. For the first time in years, I wasn't afraid of hearing my sister's voice. I was afraid of what waited inside that metal box. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard the bank manager repeat the same sentence. The box may only be opened if both of his children are present. By sunrise, I was sitting in my truck outside a small diner halfway between my town and Sarah's. We hadn't planned it. Neither of us wanted. The other walking into familiar territory. At exactly 8:57, a silver sedan pulled into the parking lot. Sarah stepped out. For a moment, I didn't recognize her. The last time I'd seen my little sister, she still looked like someone, trying to outrun every mistake we'd ever made. Now she looked tired, calm, older. She hesitated before walking toward me. "Hi, David." "Hi." That was it. 9 years of silence reduced to 2 words. Inside, we ordered coffee we barely touched. Neither of us mentioned Dad. Neither of us mentioned Mom. Finally, Sarah slid a folded envelope across the table. "I got this with the phone call." Inside was a photocopy of Father's signature and the access. Authorization. At the bottom was a handwritten note from the bank. Both heirs must appear in person. Neither of us laughed. It felt less like paperwork and more like instructions left by someone who knew exactly how stubborn we were. The drive to the downtown branch took almost an hour. Traffic gave us an excuse to stay quiet. Every few minutes, I caught Sarah looking out the passenger window. I wondered if she was remembering the same childhood I was, or a completely different one. The bank occupied an old stone building that somehow looked older than I remembered. A manager greeted us by name before leading us through a heavy steel door. Rows of safe deposit boxes stretched across the vault. Then she stopped. She pointed toward a single brass box. Number 214. Our records show this box has remained active without interruption since 2002, she said. My father had died in 2002. I looked at Sarah. She looked back at me. Neither of us spoke. The manager placed 2 keys on the counter. "Whenever you're ready." For the first time in 22 years, it felt like my father was waiting on the other side of a locked door. The vault door closed behind us with a heavy metallic thud. The manager stepped back and gave us privacy. Only the quiet hum of the ventilation system remained. Sarah picked up one key. I picked up the other. Neither key could open the box alone. We turned them together. The lock clicked. For some reason, that tiny sound felt louder than anything I'd heard all week. I slowly pulled the narrow metal drawer from box 214. It wasn't full of cash, no jewelry, no stock certificates. Just 4 ordinary objects resting inside a gray envelope. A faded photograph, a brass house key, an old cassette tape, and a sealed letter addressed only with 2 words. My children. Sarah reached for the envelope, then stopped. "No," she whispered. "Not yet." Instead, I picked up the photograph. It showed our father standing beside an old lakeside cabin. He was smiling, really smiling. Not the tired smile I remembered from the last years of his life. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Then, Sarah quietly pointed to the bottom corner. There, stamped by the photo lab, was the processing date. October 14th, 2003. I read it again. Our father's funeral had taken place in June of 2002. My hand suddenly felt cold. "That's impossible," I said. Sarah didn't answer. She simply stared at the picture as though waiting for the numbers to rearrange themselves. They never did. The manager returned a few minutes later. "Is everything all right?" I looked up. When was the last time anyone opened this box? She checked the digital record. There is no record of anyone opening it since your father's estate was processed. I looked back at the photograph. Someone had paid for this box. Someone had left these items. And somehow, someone had placed inside a photograph that should not have existed. I realized we weren't opening an inheritance. We were opening a question. We left the bank without opening the letter. Neither of us said it out loud, but we both felt the same thing. The photograph came first. If it wasn't real, nothing else mattered. If it was, everything we believed about our father could fall apart. The photo lab's name was still printed faintly along the white border. Most places like that had disappeared years ago. I searched online while Sarah drove. Against all odds, the company still existed under different ownership. An elderly employee answered our call. He listened patiently while I explained why I was asking about a 20-year-old photograph. "I can't promise anything," he said, "but old processing logs were archived instead of destroyed." That single sentence gave us more hope than we'd had all morning. He asked us to email a scan of the picture. An hour later, my phone rang again. "I found the record." I gripped the phone tighter. The print wasn't copied recently. My heart sank. It was developed on the date stamped on the back. October 14th, 2003. I closed my eyes. There must be a mistake. I checked twice. Silence filled the car. Then he added something unexpected. The customer who dropped off the film didn't use a name, but there was one handwritten instruction. He read it slowly. "If anyone ever asks about this photograph, tell them to open the letter first." Sarah pulled the car onto the shoulder. Neither of us spoke for nearly a minute. The answer had been sitting inside the vault all along. The sealed envelope rested between us on the center console. 2 words: my children. For 22 years, I thought my father had left us nothing. Now it felt as if he had been speaking to us all along, waiting until we were finally ready to listen. Neither of us moved. The envelope lay between us on the dashboard, untouched. For 22 years, I had imagined what my father might have said if he'd had one last chance. None of those imagined conversations had prepared me for this. Sarah finally broke the seal. Inside was a single handwritten page. No legal language, no apology. Just our father's familiar handwriting. "My dear David and Sarah, if you're reading this together, then something happened that I prayed would happen. You spoke to each other. If this letter reached you before the truth did, stop looking for a miracle. I did not survive. I did not fake my death. The photograph is real, but not for the reason you think." I looked at Sarah. She kept reading. "You believed I abandoned this family. I let you believe it, because the truth would have destroyed someone you both loved more than me. Your mother asked me to leave. She believed you deserved one parent you could still trust. I agreed. It was the worst decision of my life. If you want proof, take the cassette to the address written on the back of this page. Someone has been waiting a very long time to meet you." Sarah turned the paper over. There was only one address, a small lakeside cabin, the same cabin from the photograph. Neither of us recognized it, yet somehow it felt strangely familiar. I folded the letter carefully. For years, I thought this box contained my father's secrets. Now I realized it contained a choice. We could close the lid, walk away, and keep the story we'd believed for 22 years, or we could drive to that cabin and risk discovering that every memory we had built our lives upon was incomplete. I started the engine. Sarah didn't ask where we were going. She already knew. The road narrowed until the asphalt gave way to gravel. Neither of us had spoken for nearly 40 minutes. The address from the letter led us to a weathered cabin overlooking a quiet lake. It looked abandoned. The porch sagged. Paint peeled from the walls. Yet someone had swept the front steps recently. Sarah noticed it before I did. Someone still comes here. Before we could knock, the front door opened. An elderly woman stepped outside. She studied us for only a second. Then she smiled sadly. "You have your father's eyes." My throat tightened. "You knew him?" "For longer than either of you were alive." She introduced herself as Margaret Ellis. Inside, the cabin felt frozen in time. An old clock ticked softly. Family photographs covered one wall. There was our father, older, healthier, standing exactly where the impossible photograph had been taken. Margaret pointed toward a tape recorder on the table. "He asked me to keep this safe." "For us?" She nodded. "He believed one day you'd come." I placed the cassette into the recorder. The reels began to turn. Static filled the room. Then, my father's voice. "If you're hearing this, it means you finally came together." Neither Sarah nor I moved. For 22 years, I'd forgotten the sound of his voice. Now it filled the room as naturally as if he'd just walked in. "I couldn't tell you the truth while I was alive. Some lies protected this family. Others only delayed the pain. If you've made it this far, you're finally ready to know the difference." The tape clicked. It had stopped. Margaret reached into a drawer. "There are more tapes," she whispered, "but you should hear them in the order he intended." Outside, the wind rippled across the lake. For the first time since the bank called, I realized this wasn't the end of my father's story. It was the beginning. Margaret waited until the tape reel stopped spinning. She didn't rush to explain anything. Instead, she placed another cassette beside the recorder. "Your father made me promise something," she said quietly. "He said you would only understand the second tape after hearing the first." Sarah looked at me. Neither of us objected. I pressed play. My father's voice returned, older and weaker than before. "If you're listening to this tape, you've already learned the first lie." He paused. "I never stopped loving you." Another pause. "The second lie is harder. You believed your mother drove me away because she stopped loving me. That wasn't true either." I closed my eyes. Every memory I had built my life around suddenly felt unstable. My father continued. "The doctors told us your mother was getting worse. She begged me to let her be the parent you remembered with kindness. She believed anger would be easier to carry than pity. I argued with her for weeks. I lost." The room was silent except for the tape. I chose to become the man you could blame. I thought one day I would have enough time to explain. I was wrong. The cassette clicked again. Margaret wiped a tear from her cheek. "Your father came here every month," she said. "He hoped one of you would arrive before it was too late." Sarah stared at the family photograph from the vault. "I hated him," she whispered. "So did I. I answered. Neither of us knew what to do with that truth. Before we left, Margaret handed me a small wooden box. It belongs to both of you now. Inside was a final cassette. Across the label, in my father's handwriting, were 4 words. When you're ready. We didn't play the final cassette until the next morning. Margaret insisted we take it home. Some endings, she said, shouldn't happen in someone else's house. Sarah and I drove back in silence. For the first time in years, the silence no longer felt like anger. It felt like 2 people trying to rebuild something they had almost lost, forever. We sat at my kitchen table. The old photograph rested beside the brass key. The safe deposit box receipt lay folded underneath. I pressed play. My father's voice returned one final time. If you've reached this tape, then you've already discovered the truth I failed to tell you when I had the chance. I've spent years wondering whether protecting the people I loved was worth losing them. I still don't know. But if the 2 of you are sitting together right now, then maybe I wasn't completely wrong. He laughed softly. It was the first time I had heard joy in his voice. Don't waste another decade defending old pain. Memories are powerful, but they are also incomplete. Ask questions. Forgive carefully. And never let pride become louder than love. The tape hissed for several seconds. Then came his final words. Go home. Not to the old house, to each other. The recorder clicked. No one spoke. Sarah reached across the table and picked up the faded photograph. I don't think we can get those years back, she said. No, I answered. But we don't have to lose the next ones. She smiled. It wasn't a dramatic moment. It was small, real. The kind of smile that only appears after people stop pretending they're fine. A week later, we visited our father's grave together. For the first time, we stayed longer than a few minutes. We didn't apologize out loud. We didn't need to. Before leaving, Sarah placed the old brass key against the headstone 4. A moment, then slipped it back into her pocket. Too late? She asked quietly. I looked at the morning sun breaking through the trees. For some things, I said, but not for this. As we walked away, I realized something my father had understood long, before I did. The greatest inheritance he left behind was never hidden inside a safe. Deposit box. It was the chance to become a family again.